Okay, Shalom Aleichem everybody. This week's Parashat is Parashat Ekev. It's continuing with Moshe Rabbeinu. He's speaking to the Jewish people, and one of the things he mentions to them is he reminds them of the Egel, the sin of the golden calf that they did in the desert. And we all know this was one of the biggest sins in history. And Moshe says, you guys right away, you abandoned Hashem gave you the Torah, and you guys decided to build an idol. So the Zera Shimshon brings down in the Gemara Brachot, Perek Hey, Amra lefanav ribono shel olam. The Jewish people are having a conversation with Hashem. I don't think it's exactly the Jewish people, but maybe the angel. So it said that the Jewish nation told Hashem, they said, ribono shel olam, we did a sin, right? Sin of the golden calf. We want to get forgiven for it. But we know there's a thing in Shemayim, Hashem never forgets anything you do. Every single action is recorded. So they say, because there's no shichecha, there's no forgetfulness in front of the kiseh kevodecha, in front of your throne of glory, which means you, Hashem, Shema lo tishkach li maaseh egel. Maybe you're never going to forget the incident of the golden calf. You're always going to remember it to this day, and you're going to hold us accountable for it. But the pasuk says, Hashem responds, Gam ele tishkachna. He says, even these are going to be forgotten. Meaning, even the bad sins of the golden calf, I'm going to forgive you. So, Amar lefanav, hoil v'yeshicha lefnei chisev chodecha. He says, okay, if you're going to forget about the sin of the golden calf, maybe you're going to forget about the whole entire thing that we even accepted the Torah. Because if you forget about the golden calf, that means you have to forget about the Torah, that we accepted it, because it was in the same story, basically. So Amar Lav Anochi Lo Ashkechech. So he tells them, no, I'm not going to forget that. So basically Hashem is going to divide the story. He's going to take the story where we accepted the Torah, and he's going to remember that, and he's going to always merit it to us. But the part where we sinned, that we did the golden calf, Hashem is going to say, I'm going to forget about that. So the Zera Shimshon has a problem, two problems. He says, what shaykhis is the golden calf and the acceptance of the Torah? Okay, they happened in the same day, the same time period, but in the end of the day, what does the two have in common? That just because I forget about one, right away I forget about the other. Why can't I just forget about the golden calf and the Matan Torah? Fine. Why are they connected? And second of all, why do they specifically say, Kiseh kevodecha? Why do they say, there's no forgetfulness by the throne of glory? What does the throne of glory have to do with anything? What is it? Asher Yatzar is saying, what is it? Why are they saying Kiseh kevodecha? So he brings down a midrash in Parashat Shemot, and it says Kishnigla Kadosh Baruch Hu al Har Sinai. It says when Hashem came down on Har Sinai, he didn't just come himself. He came with the whole entourage. He came with his throne of glory, Kiseh Kavod, and it was carried by the Chayot and Osimoto, right? The Chayot HaKodesh. These are like heavenly creatures, you could call them, and they were carrying down Hashem's throne. And we all know, what are these chayot? What do they consist of? 4 faces. What are the 4 faces?
Yaakov's face.
Okay, that's the human face where they say ox, that's 2, 3, the eagle.
And the bear. No.
The lion.
The lion. So the 4 faces are, like we said, lion, ox, eagle, and the face of a human, which some say is Yaakov Avinu, that face. So they all came down, Vishamtu echad mehem. And when they decided to sin 40 days later, when Moshe Rabbeinu didn't come down, what did they do? They said, let's pick one of the strongest creatures in creation, which are one of these chayot. Which one did they choose?
Lion.
The bull.
The ox, the bull. They choose the one for, that's the Egel Hazav, the golden calf. Ox just is a grown-up bull, as a grown-up calf. Calf is just a baby. So they chose this out of all the 4. And they caused Hashem to get angry at them. So what do we see? That there's a direct link between what? Between Matan Torah and the sin of the golden calf. Because if Hashem didn't come down with his Kiseh Kavod, right, at Har Sinai, Hashem came down with his throne of glory. By the throne of glory, they were able to see the ox. Because they saw the ox, they did the sin of the golden calf. They created this idol. So Hashem says, if I would forget the golden calf, I would have to forget the cause of the golden calf. What's the cause of the golden calf? Matan Torah, looking at the ox when it came down to Har Sinai. So Hashem says, don't worry, I'm able to split. I'm able to divide the good and the bad. I'm going to forget the Egel HaZahav. I'm going to remember Matan Torah, the Har Sinai, accepting the Torah. So we can learn a lesson from Hashem, right? We have to emulate Hashem's ways, that anytime we have to always see the good in others and forget about the bad. Because many times, let's say, brothers, sisters, cousins, relatives, even parents, sometimes they insult you, they wrong you, they do stuff bad to you. But at the end of the day, how much good did this person do for you? Yeah, they took care of you, they fed you, they were always there for you, you were hanging out with them. So even though they did something bad to you, they cheated you in business, but still, what are you supposed to do?
Remember the good.
Remember the good. Not even remember the good, you have to forget the bad. It's one thing to remember good. Oh, that person did good for me. He did good. But you have to remember it so much that you don't even care about the bad. The bad things that they're doing, you forget about it. Because you have to look back. How much good did this person do? Even in our own mitzvah, what does Hashem do? Let's say you go to a non-kosher party, and over there is not kosher food. And you're sitting down on the table, and you're looking at the food, you're like, I'm here, let me just eat already. But you say, I'm going to wait 5 minutes. Before I eat any food, I'm going to wait 5 minutes. And the guy sits there, you sit there and you wait. And only after 5 minutes, you decide, okay, now I'm going to eat. You know what Hashem does? Hashem says, I'm going to take the good part, just the good part. I'm going to say, you did the mitzvah, you didn't eat the food right away. So that mitzvah, Hashem's not going to say, at the end of the day, you know what, you ate the food. You're all bad now. I don't like you. Right? That's what we do to people. Once they do something bad to us, that's it, we forget all the good. So Hashem says, no, even your mitzvot, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to take all the good, meaning the 5 minutes that you waited before you ate the non-kosher food, you're going to get 100% merited for that. You're going to get reward for it. And Hashem says, yeah, you did bad. Of course, you're going to get punished for it. But the good that you did, I'm not going to forget. If anything, I'm going to focus on it. And people think when I'm in an argument with someone, just because I don't have the same opinion as them, I don't like them now, I'm not going to talk to them. They think, okay, I'm in a disagreement with this person, I have nothing to do with them anymore. That's 100% wrong. Even though you're in arguments with people, even though you guys don't share opinions, you still have to be friendly with them. What's the famous example that you would tell these people? Let's say you have an opinion, this person would say up, the other person would say down. He would say right, he would say left. Who are the two famous people that argued on every case? Yes. Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai. They were the two people, two groups of people, they were groups. They were the two groups of people that anything in halacha, basically everything, they always had different opinions. They even went so far that one time, they had a dispute, an argument about yibum. Everyone knows what yibum is? It's when, let's say a guy gets married, and this person dies, chas v'shalom, without any kids. So there's a mitzvah for the oldest brother, and of course the other brother, just the oldest brother gets precedence, to be meyabem, to get married to his dead brother's wife. So in certain cases, according to Beit Hillel, he says, no, this case, I'm not going to go into details, whatever, it's a whole case in the Gemara, but he says, this case, you don't have to do yibum. Says it's fine, you could go without yibum, and she's allowed to get married, she doesn't have to do chalitza. Chalitza is when you do the spitting in the shoe, and by doing that, you're going to break off the connection that's there between the brother-in-law and the wife, so that they don't have to get married to each other. So according to Beit Hillel, you don't have to do chalitza. She's free to just go get married. According to Beit Shammai, must do yibum. And if you don't do yibum and she gets married to someone else, what are the kids called? The kids? Mamzerim. So if it comes out like this, it comes out Beit Hillel, the kids are 100% kosher. Beit Shammai, 100% mamzer. So now, these people, they argued about everything. These two groups, let's call like Sfardim and Ashkenazim. They argued about almost everything. And yet, they would have peace with each other. They would respect each other. They would marry their kids off to each other. And when it came time, right, to get married, they would say, no, Beit Shammai, according to you, this girl is a mamzer. This is okay for you. And they would respect their opinion so much that they would say, this one's a mamzer according to you, this one's you're allowed to date. They went so far to respect the other person's opinion. They didn't say, oh, you don't have the same opinion as me, that's it, we're done. No, they still had peace. They still had shalom with each other, and they respected their opinions. So now they're already talking about the sin of the golden calf, this week's Parsha. Moshe is repeating it, and he's giving them a tochecha, rebuke. Question is, how could the Jews fall to such a low level right after they accepted the Torah? They saw the Shekhinah, they saw the Chayot HaKodesh, right? All the Malachim came down, the Shemayim were open, the whole entire earth took a pause for Hashem to come. Yet 40 days later, all of a sudden, they make Egel Zahav. They make an idol on the same place where they accepted the Torah. How could it be? How could the Jews, 40 days after they accepted the Torah, already fall into one of the biggest sins in history? So to explain this, I heard a story from Rabbi Dahan. He came to Or Natan Summer Kollel, and he said over the story. It's part of a whole lecture he gave. I'm just going to take the story. It actually, true story, happened 6 weeks ago about. There was this rabbi in Arizona, and he was the rav of like a certain community, and he need to go to Toronto in Canada to go pick up a get from a husband who doesn't want to divorce his wife. But the guy said, if you come by tomorrow, I'll give you the get. So the rabbi wanted to go there himself. He wanted to negotiate things, make sure everything goes through. So he needed to get the first flight out. First flight out of Arizona. So he goes online, he checks it, books the flight. There was one seat left. He goes on the plane, and he sees, but the seat's supposed to sit on, he's this huge Schwarzer, black guy, sitting right next to him. And he's, we'd say fat. And he's taking up like half of his own seat. And he's like, feels uncomfortable. He says, excuse me, squishes himself into the seat. And he doesn't want to make things awkward. So he tells the guy, hi, how are you? What's your name? And the guy with the deep voice, he says, Shah. So he's like, okay, this guy doesn't want to speak to me. And he's like, he doesn't want to speak to me. He's shushing me. Okay. So he's on the plane. What do Jews do when they're on the plane? They take out their chumash, Shnai Mikra. Shnai Mikra v'chat targum. He starts doing the parsha. That week's parsha was Parashat Chukat. So do the math, how many weeks ago that was? So he's doing Shnai Mikra, and he sees in the corner of his eye, he sees this black guy. He's looking at his chumash, and he's confused. He's looking. Every time he goes like this, he sees the guy turns his head around. You pretend like you're not looking. So he just confused. He doesn't know what's happening. So he continues reading, and then he keeps noticing it keeps happening. So he turns around. He asks the guy, "You need something? You keep looking at my book." So he says, No, I was just wondering, what do these two words mean? And he points to the words Chukat Torah. Those two words. And the rabbi starts explaining. He says, okay, this is the Bible. It was given to us by Moses on Mount Sinai. And he starts giving this whole rundown of what the Torah is. And the black guy's like, no, I don't care about this. I just want to know, what do these two words mean? And then he's like, okay, Chukat HaTorah. What does that mean? He says there's some types of laws, halakha, that are called a mishpat. They're called a logical commandment. Don't kill, don't steal, things you're going to think about anyway. But then there's some that are called a chok. They're called laws that you don't really understand why Hashem put them into effect. You don't know why Hashem made these laws, but we still follow them. Okay? So he starts explaining this to him. And then he unbuttons his shirt, rolls open his sleeve, and he shows him two words. Chukat Torah on his arm. And he's confused. He's like, what does this black guy have these two Hebrew words on his arm? And he tells the guy, he says, I had these two words on I didn't even know they were words. I thought they were symbols or something. He says, my whole life, I had them on my hand. I didn't even know what they meant. My father told me, I asked my father when I was a kid, he said he put it on me when I was 1 year old. I don't really remember. He told me he went on a business trip to China. And over there, it was a good luck charm. They made up this thing. They said apparently that it gives you prosperity, good wealth. And that's what he told me. And I always thought, it was some Chinese thingy. And he's like, now I see it's a Jewish letter as part of the Torah. And the rabbi's like, is that really the story? I don't think you're telling the truth. He said, what do you mean? That's what my father told me. He said he got it from China. So he said, no, it doesn't sound right. He said, you know what, you could ask my father. I'll give you his number. So he gives him the father's number. He gives him the father's number. And right when he lands, they're on the plane, right? Right when he lands, he calls up this guy's father. Picks up the phone. And he says, hello. And the guy responds. He says, yes, I was on the phone. I was on the plane with your son just now. And he happened to show me a tattoo on his arm. And it said 2 words. It said Hebrew words on it. Could you please explain to me why you put those 2 words on his arm? So he continues and he says this whole thing. He said, I went on a business trip and I went to China. And he said this whole China story. And the guy's like, no, I'm not buying it. That makes no sense. What do Chinese people know about the Torah? So he says, tell me the real story. So right away, the guy starts crying. And he says, years ago, I was in Europe. I lived in Europe. And he says, I was in yeshivas, Panovich. It's a very big yeshiva. Under Rav Shach. That was the Rosh Yeshiva. And he says, I was there and I was learning. I devoted my days and my nights to learning Torah. All I was doing was focusing on all the books, on the Sfarim. And I was learning Gemara and I had a whole family. I got married. I had kids. But the only problem was, there's one problem. I couldn't have money. Didn't make money. I was living in poverty. So I didn't know what to do. I said I needed to go get a job. All of a sudden there was this job offer that came up and it was perfect. I was able to work at night and keep my learning schedule during the day. So I went to Rav Shach, he says, and Rav Shach told me, so yeah, go ahead, do it, go get the job. You're able to learn and work. Perfect. Good balance. So he goes to the guy and he tells him, he starts his work, his job, and he was alone in the office. What happens? They hired a black cleaning lady. They hire a black cleaning lady. Right away he knows there's halachot, yichud, you're not allowed to be in the same place. So he goes to his Rebbe, Rav Shach. And Rav Shach tells him, 100% asur, you cannot work there anymore. You have to quit. And he's like, quit? I just finally got out of my state of poverty. I'm able to at least pay the bills, pay for my food. My kids were crying before. They didn't have what to eat. How am I going to go not work? Nothing's going to happen. So he's like, no. He pulls out a Shulchan Aruch from the shelf. Even Ezer, Siman, Chav Gimel. Think. Chav Dalet. Pulls out Chav Dalet. He opens it up. What does he see? Shows him, Asur le'ached ima isha, afilu goya. Which means, it's forbidden to seclude yourself with a woman, even if she is not Jewish. So he gives him blanket rule. The guy's like, what do you mean? She's some black cleaning lady. What's going to happen? And he tells him in his face, he says, Zot chukat Torah. He says, this is the law of the Torah. There's no exceptions. This is the rule. But he tells him, what do you mean? I'm like kids, Zot chukat Torah. And he repeats these words. He leaves the rabbi's office with the psak in his head. Say, he can't go back. But, of course, the test was too hard for him. Long story short, he ended up divorcing his wife, leaving his kids, dropping out of yeshiva, and moving with this black cleaning lady, wherever she's from. So he said, these words hit me so hard. These are the words that I didn't listen to, and because of that, I lost my whole entire Yiddishkeit. He said, I dropped Judaism. And this stuck in my head so hard that I even named my son Shach. That's why he said Shah. Shah means Shach, because they can't say the Ch sound. So he says, I named my son Shach, and I tattooed on his arm the 2 words that he told me. Chukat Torah. These are the laws of the Torah that you have to abide to no matter what. So now we can understand, this was the sin of the golden calf. What was the problem? Moshe Rabbeinu didn't come down the mountain. 40 days, they did the calculations, nothing happened. So what did they do? They went to Chur. They said, Rabbi Chur, he was the Gadol Hador, he was one of the Gedolei Hador, the biggest leaders of the generation at that time. And they tell him, we need a leader, we need to make an idol to lead us. Moshe Rabbeinu was gone, and he tells them, no, you guys are wrong, don't worry, he's going to come back. And they say, no, we know how to live our life, we know how to do Avodat Hashem, we know how to serve God correctly. And what does he do? What do? They kill Hur. You don't listen to us? That's it. They killed him. Then what happened? They went to Aaron HaKohen. Aaron was forced to follow them because otherwise they would kill him. So he went along with the whole thing. He tried to stall, but it didn't work. They made the Egel. And they fell into the deepest sins of Jewish history.
Was Hur the one that killed Esav?
Hur was Miriam's son.
Right.
So the one that killed Esav was similar name. It's something with the Chet also. Hush, I think.
Yeah. Hushim. He was deaf.
Hushim. Yeah. His name is actually Hushim, which means deaf. So Hur is Miriam's son. So they killed him, and they fell into the worst sin that we still suffer to this day. This is the reason why we're in Galut, we're in exile. This is all leading up. This generation, that generation of Midbar, ruined it for everybody. Now everyone looks back when they read the story of the Egel, and they say, how in the world could they fall into such a sin? But the problem is, they say, if I was there, well, I would never do that. I would never do that. But at the end of the day, you're still doing it to today. Because even though people are telling you, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. These are the rules, these are the halachot. What do you still do? You still do it. For example, a smartphone, yeah? You have an iPhone. If it's not cleaned out, it's 100% asur. 100%, there's no doubt. If there's no filter, that's it. If you don't have all these social medias, you're watching movies on the internet, this is the way the Satan infiltrates our lives. This is literally the test of the generation. Everyone has these phones, they walk around with the phone, they're on it all day, they're stuck onto it, especially the social medias. People could be stuck there scrolling. What are you looking at? You're liking this guy, you're liking that guy, you're looking at what this guy's doing with this day. All it causes is jealousy. Right? You're just, this guy has that. You're never happy. There's immorality over there. You're never, and besides all that, people are so attached to it that it kills all their time. You tell a guy, let's come learn. Nah, I'm busy, I'm this, I'm that. What do you mean you're busy? You're just stuck onto your whole society, of your whole way of thinking. People are lazy because every 5 things, they just, everything they see, one click. But when you're learning, you have to focus, you have to be, it's hard. And even when they come to the shiur, what happens? You're learning with a guy, Chavruta. See, he's looking down. And you see what is he on? He's on his phone. He's texting someone. What is he texting? You're in the middle of learning. In a shiur, you see? Guys are stuck on the phone. How can it be? During a shiur, the Shekhinah comes down from Shemaim, comes and joins us when you're learning a shiur. You're inside, you're learning Torah. Hashem is right now, how do you think you're getting Torah into your head? It's not coming in automatically. Hashem takes it and puts it into your head. That's the way it works. So what do people do? They're addicted to the phones. Right away. This is the problem. People are just stuck onto it. And it causes people to be lazy and everything. They're busy watching movies. They're stuck onto all these fantasies and all of it is 100% nonsense. They're trying to live other people's lives. What's a movie? You're living someone else's life. You don't like your life. You're depressed. Not fully depressed, but whatever. You just want to, like people say, I want to get out of my life for a second. Escape, that's the word. I want to escape my life, watch a movie. What is that? Now people have these excuses they come up with. It doesn't apply to me. I need it for business. Yeah, that's what you're going to tell. I need it for business. But you know what? I'll tell you like this. There's a certain tzaddik, very underrated, sitting in this room, that when he got his phone, right away he put a filter on it. Right away. And when he started his business, he didn't put Instagram, Snapchat on his phone. What did he do? He got a second phone. Mr. David Yaakov here. Yeah? He didn't say, I can't do it. No, he put a filter on his phone. He doesn't watch movies all day. No, he doesn't waste his time. I need it for Instagram for my business. You get a second phone. You don't just put it on your phone. Snapchat, why do you need all this stuff? You say, I can't do it. No. It's 100% halakha. This was the sin of the golden calf. You want to rectify the sin? You want to make Hashem fully forget and forgive the sin of the Egel HaZahav? You have to fix the mistake. What was the root of the problem? The root was they thought that we know how to live our lives. We know that how to serve Hashem. Back then they were also religious Jews, like all of us. Yeah, religious, they served Hashem. But what did they think? No. Moshe Rabbeinu is not coming down. We have to build ourselves a leader. But who told them they shouldn't? Hur, the Gedol Hador, the rabbis of the generation. They said, you have to do this, you have to do that. They don't build the Egel. But they didn't listen. They still did it. And because of this, we're suffering for the sin to this day. Not only the sin of the smartphones, there's many other stuff. Like we said last time. Who says Bahamar is allowed? Yeah, who says going to mixed beaches is 100% kosher? Just because you go there, oh, they have kosher food now, they have, Chabad, Minyani, like we said, Daf Yomi last time. Doesn't make a difference. It's still 100% Asr Gomer, not a Shaila. Mixed weddings. Hashem gives you money. He gives you the ability to get married. He gives you kids. And what do? On the one day, it's actually called marriage in Hebrew, is called Kiddushin. What's the root of Kiddushin? The root word? Kedusha, Kadosh. What does that mean? Holiness. And what are you doing? On the party of holiness, the Kiddushin party, you're taking it and you're transforming it into a club. Making a mixed party, and you're spitting in Hashem's face. You say, you give me all these brachot, and what do? Shove it back at Hashem. So because of these sins, we don't understand that we have to listen to what Da'at Torah says. Whatever the rabbis are telling us, whatever the Torah, the Halacha, Shulchan Aruch is telling us, we have to abide by them. Zot chukat the Torah. There are no exceptions. Baruch Adonai L'olam. Amen.